Hello. Hello to Instagram and Facebook. It's 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and I'm so excited to see everybody today. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. And I actually decided today to let Instagram in on our closed group Facebook training because I want our all of my friends, hey there over to you folks on Instagram to get a little bit of a sneak peek of what I'm going to be covering next week in my 5-day boot camp. And kind of what we've been doing over in the Facebook group this month. And I go live every single week in Facebook with the tribe. And I want to see if I can get some comments up so I know that I have some folks on and I am in fact live. Give me a hello if you guys are here on Facebook. So I go live in the Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders, which is our free Facebook group for those of you on Instagram who are not in there. If you are an aesthetic owner, operator, or leader, I would love for you to come and join us. We do strategic advisory live every single week, and we have just an amazing community of aesthetic practice leaders who are always sharing best practices. We're taking surveys, we're providing resources, updates on all of kind of the latest and greatest in aesthetics. And I open up for two-way communication on Facebook. What's tough about Instagram, going live on Instagram, is difficult to really interact and look through the comments. But on Facebook, not only do I get to go through comments while I'm live with you guys, but I can go back and follow up on any questions or comments that are left later. So thanks to everybody who's joining. Welcome, welcome. I would love just a little hello in Facebook to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. So today I want to talk to you guys about something that we're going to be covering in some intense detail next week. And last week, I went live with our academy about sales and marketing strategy. And I feel like this is one of my favorite things to talk about because it is so important. If we don't have sales in our business, we don't have a business. But I think that we too often have a misrepresentation about what selling is in our industry. Many practices are still running like kind of old school ma and pop medical practices and not really preparing their sales systems to operate like 7 and multi-7 figure enterprises. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about those systems. And one of the ones that I see most overlooked, which is patient retention. And I can assure you that it is more likely that you have $100,000 hidden in just reactivations, upsells, and cross-sells than the likelihood that you don't. And so I want to talk to you about how to find those and a little bit of the overall perspective about what a sales and marketing system should look like in a small business and in a medical practice. So when I talk to you guys about sales systems, right? We think of sometimes sales and marketing like they're the same thing. Like this person is responsible for sales and marketing, and they're really two different things. Marketing is the way that we're attracting a consumer or patient to come into our business. We're demonstrating what we're all about, what we have to offer. We're showcasing our brand, and we are attracting them to come for a consultation, for a service, etc. Sales is actually a conversion event where we are, in fact, collecting money for the service. And in total, that entire transaction is really an exchange of trust. A patient's coming in because they trust that they're going to get an outcome that you're going to be able to deliver to them. So knowing that there is a difference between sales and marketing, I want to talk to you a little bit about what a sales system looks like. So a sales system is really comprised of 3 parts. And that is, one is lead generation, which we very much think about when we think of marketing. We think of how do we get a new lead into the business, right? So without a lead, there isn't a lead to nurture or a lead to close. Haley, can you hear me and see me on Facebook too? I don't know how to look. I'm on the new Facebook system, so I'm not sure if I set it up right. This is like, COVID has literally made me so technical that I never had the ability to do, but I don't know if I do it right. So when we talk about these three areas, sorry to get off track for a minute, but we want to think about lead generation. So the patient or the lead coming into the practice first, right? And then we want to have a high quality nurture sequence. So we want to have a system in place where we are we're kind of massaging that patient. We're bringing them along through this journey with us so that we're developing a know, like, and trust factor. So ultimately, our goal is to get the patient from knowing about us to liking us to trusting us and wanting to spend their money with us because they're trusting us they're having faith in us that we're going to be able to give them a result. So we know we need lead generation and we need nurturing, and then we need conversion events. So in a practice, a lot of times it looks like a one-on-one consultation where a patient will come in and they'll sit down with a provider, and then they will choose to go a certain direction with a procedure and they will pay for the procedure. And other ways it might look like an open house event, or now a virtual open house event, or some of the things that we work with, and I'll reference quite a bit today in our academy, is a Pivot for Profit program, which I'll be going over in detail an entire day next week dedicated to this, where I'm going to teach you how to build an online inspired platform where you could actually scale up your visibility and do a consultation to a group of patients, so that you're going live with them, you are having a connection with them, and you're able to close them or at least bring them into a consultation for a conversion event. Okay. So let's talk about patient retention. And I wasn't sure if this would be like a hot topic, or if people were going to be like, this is so boring. Like, why is it important? Why is patient retention important? And I think that we know it's important. It's one of those things, like, of course we want to retain our patients, but I have a friend who runs a coaching business for network marketers, and I had a conversation with her about her perspective and how she trains these network marketers to continue to nurture their existing clients, right? So this is like, her clients are selling doTERRA and gosh, what are some of the other, like this different skincare and hair care that, where it's multi-level marketing, basically network marketing. And so Rodan and Fields, it's all coming to me now. So she told me that she uses this analogy of like a gas tank. So like when we go fill up our gas tank, we assume all the gas is going into the tank and that's what's going to fuel the car. And so she recommends, when you are referring to the humans that are going to produce sales for you in your business, right? Your patients, your consumer, your customer, that's similar to your fuel for your car. So she said, but what if you had a hole in your gas tank? So you're filling up your car, but you don't realize that there's gas just leaking out. And so you look at your tank and it's like, I just filled it up, but it's only half full. And so you go fill it another half, and and the cycle continues. And this is what happens a lot in sales, that we think so much about the front end of sales, right? We think of the lead and bringing in the new patient, but then we don't have a system in place to nurture them, to bring them through our sales funnel, to continue to show them who we are and what we're all about, and build trust with them through the process before we convert and close them. And so we're constantly walking around or driving our car around, or our business, with a hole in our gas tank. And so what does that mean? So basically, having a high quality nurture sequence means that you are going to make or break your sales success based on that nurture process. Now you need the other two, right? It's all three are important. It is, if you look at my notes, I actually drew a graph out for you guys. They are all important. They're equally important. But what we don't see and feel an instant reward about is that middle process, which is that nurturing. And studies show that consumers are 90% more likely to do business with one of the last three service providers who followed up with them. So what does that say? Well, it tells me that, one, I need effective lead generation and I need effective closing, but that there is opportunity for me to build a better nurture process, AKA patient retention strategies, to build trust and rapport and follow up with that patient so that I continue to stay front of mind for them. Okay, because when they realize that they're ready to buy, right? So like there's an awareness process where they're kind of unaware and then they become aware, and then that they have a problem, and then they know that there's a solution to the problem. You want to be recognized as the solution for that problem. And so I want to talk to you guys about, I jotted down top 10 strategies for improving your patient retention process. Now, some of these might be aha light bulbs for you, and some of these might be like, oh, duh. And so what I encourage you to do is to take some notes today and go back to your team and to look at and rank yourself on how you're doing on each of these areas. So make a list of 10 things and then go back and have a meeting and get together with your team and say, how are we on this number one? How are we doing on a scale of 1 to 10? What can we do better? How can we do more of this? And put an intentional effort into incorporating these things into your practice. Okay. So what I want to talk to you about from the standpoint of how to meet patients where they are today is that they are focused on, if you think about what we expect from Uber, Airbnb, we want immediacy and we want significance, right? So we want to be able to get what we want when we want it. Let's just say it just like that, right? Okay, and we're all like that. And I think sometimes we have to fight the urge, but this is ultimately, this is the way, this is reality, and we actually can get it. I know that with the exception of what's happening through this pandemic, on a general, day-to-day basis, I could simply order my food from an app on my phone. I have, convenience is just a very, it used to be special and now it's an expectation. And so as I go through this list, I want you to be thinking about how you can provide significance and convenience to patients, and while you're focusing on developing trust and rapport. Okay. So number one is consistent communication. So what I mean by that is, how many of you, and don't be shy, only send out a newsletter when you're running a promotion or like a monthly promo, like once a month? Okay. All right, that's fair. And a lot do, but we're bombarded with messages right now. Okay. So when you feel like you don't want to overdo it with your patients, you don't want to be intrusive, you don't want to be too salesy, the way to do that is to have a more consistent communication and not just communicate with them when you are selling or when you want something. So rather than just ask for them to come in for a monthly special or run a promotion, build a format where you can have what I like to call inspired infrastructure, better content marketing. You can have a longer form conversation with them. So I know for me and my company, I have, all the regular social media. I have Instagram for you guys over there. I have Facebook. And we have, your standard platforms, but we also have a Facebook group. And so that group, we can come in, here I am with you guys today. I can come in here and have a two-way conversation. So I can look at comments that you're giving to me. I can take feedback, and in the group, in the off days when we're not in the middle of a strategic advisory, I can ask for feedback about what you guys want to hear and what you're interested in. And I can communicate with you in a more fulfilling and more meaningful way for both me, right, and my business, and for you as my consumer. Okay. So right now, most of the marketing that I see going on, as it relates to communicating with consumers is, making a basic post on Instagram, a couple stories a week, and sending out a monthly newsletter. And so I want to really encourage you to step up that communication to weekly, and rather than only promote a special, educate. Be thinking of adding value. So every time I put out a communication to my list, I always think about what can they take away from this. If I was on the other end of this, how is this message developing a stronger trust factor with them? So number one, consistent communication. Okay. So who can do a better job of that? Anyone? Me? Okay. So number two, show more behind the scenes. And I say this because your patients don't really always realize how hard you're working for them and all the things that you're doing for them on a daily basis, because they are busy doing their thing, and then it's time to come in and they're like, oh, look, you've been closed for 2 months, I'm showing up for my appointment, and look at this brand new beautiful office. But the whole time you could have been using that as an opportunity to show them the development of the build out, or how you're cleaning the practice, or how you're prepping the consumables or the syringes, or how we're going on to order masks, or things like this that are showing them a little bit of a sneak peek. First of all, we're just kind of creepy people, like we like to be in on the know, so there's that. But just so that they have a better idea of what it really takes to prepare this experience for them. And so use your communication platform to show them a little bit more of what is going on before the finished product. What is the process like to get to the point that they get to see at the very end, right? So a little sneak peek into the process. Number three is focus more on the extra special little things. So I don't know if you guys collect birthday dates for your patients, but what do you do with those? Do you actually do anything? You're like, oh, you came in today and I noticed that it's your birthday, it's June 16th, so happy birthday today. I've worked with a client who literally did like birthday phone calls and sent a birthday card, or birthday, that just extra special little thing to think that my provider is thinking about me. That just goes, that takes your personal touch really a step further, and it's just a way that you've gone the extra mile for that patient, and you show them how much you care. And so remember, again, we go back to the significance and convenience, right? So how are you showing significance to patients? And that's what's going to develop trust with them. So some of the ideas would be a birthday gift. If you don't do flowers after surgery or your highest ticket procedure in your practice, that's just a really beautiful, classy touch. Usually the patient will take a picture of the flowers and go ahead and post it on their Instagram or in their story and tag you, so you can use it as an opportunity to double up on your exposure. And what are some others? An Uber ride. We have a practice in our academy that offers an Uber for every patient. They have high-end procedures that start around 5,000 baseline, but so they offer an Uber ride, a phone call on the birthday. delivery instead of pickup. So it's like, okay, well, you can come pick up products, or actually we'll just go ahead and drop them off for you. If somebody's local, you could hire an intern for the summer who could literally go make deliveries for you from the practice. You could put a handwritten note in there in the bag. I mean, I'm talking minimum wage, or like intern, doing it for hours. So it's just going the extra step from a creativity standpoint, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have to cost you a lot. Some of the things I've done in practice I managed, we had valet downstairs. And so we had cash that we would offer the patient as a cash tip to go pay the valet. So, I don't know if you guys have ever used valet before, but sometimes you're like, even if it's a free valet, I don't want to park there because then I have to dig around and make sure that I have the $2 or $3 to tip them. So we just handled that as a, practice. So I want to challenge you to go back and make a list of all the extra things that you're doing right now for your patients. What are those extras that they wouldn't expect, that are taking your service or your offer or your product above and beyond, and evaluate how you're doing there. All right, so number 4 is to include patients in the future vision of your practice. So most of the time we're all growing our businesses, and we know if you're in my academy, you're thinking already 3 months ahead. Today we're building the business for next quarter. You know what you're going to do. Your next move, or you have an idea, right? But don't just tell them after it happens. Oh, guess what? We moved. Oh, guess what? We just bought this laser. Oh, guess what? We just did this. Make them a part of the process. People love to feel needed and valued, and plus, oh, by the way, you're going to get their great feedback and their opinion, and they're the ones who actually count, because they're the ones that are paying you money to make your business run. So, for example, if you're looking to hire somebody, I do recommend, have that conversation with your patients. We're bringing on we are looking to expand and bring on the greatest new team member, and here's the fit, here's the culture, here's what we're looking for. Have that conversation. What do you think? What do you think would be a great next step for you coming into this practice? What would make your experience a level up, right? Where should we have our next event? How should we have our next event? What should it be about? And ask these questions. I mean, I think you should be obsessively, asking questions and learning more about your clients. And we do, in my company, we do Google surveys, and I've done SurveyMonkey as well. Just to get some feedback, and it could be a 2-question, survey, like, what would you prefer, this or that? Boom, on my phone, 1 second, or even in your Instagram stories. I do those all the time. I love that you can get a quick, what did you prefer? What are your thoughts about this? A yes or no, or here's 4, things. And you can take a quick little tiny survey, but include them and incorporate them in that process, because that's going to make them feel special, like you care and validate their opinion. Okay. Number 5 has to do with response times. Okay. Back in the day, it was cool to respond 24 hours later when someone reached out to you, but that's old school. It's 2 hours now, 1 to 2 hours. And particularly, if you are, usually when a patient's reaching out for an aesthetic procedure, they're pretty hot. They're, probably looking at 3 practices. I would go, if you're just watching this from Instagram and you're not in the tribe of fierce aesthetic leaders, go watch last week's strategic advisory. We did 4 secret shopper calls, and I interviewed the VP of sales, Dylan from Optical, and he talked about literally going in and doing, the Google, the contact form messages, hi, blah, 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 on Friday. And out of 25 practices, 15 of them never even responded. Can you imagine? For me, I would be that could be thousands of dollars that you're missing out on. It's just, it's so awful. So respond. Patients are ready when they're ready. And if I'm calling 3 practices, The one who answers the phone the quickest is the most responsive, AKA going back to, right? Immediate gratification, significance, and convenience. That's probably where I'm going to go at least spend my time to go have the consultation. Okay. All right. Number 6, make sure your customer knows what the next step is with you. It like literally makes my blood boil when I see a patient leave without a next appointment booked. And it happens all the time. Even the top practices do this, right? Where a patient leaves and they're like, oh, I'll call you when I'm ready. No, what is happening next? Now, if they absolutely don't want to book an appointment, make sure you take the initiative to tell them, we're going to be sending you, our weekly email on Friday. I'll be calling you in 2 weeks to follow up and see how you're doing. Make sure they know what is the next step. You need to be advancing them through this process forever, always, not just when they get one treatment, like, okay, cool, check, boop, they're booked, they're good, I collected their money. No, think back to that gas tank. If you're going to end up with a leak in your gas tank, if you don't have these systems in place to consistently follow up with your patient. So make sure that they know when they're going to hear from you next or what that next step is. All right. Any feedback so far? What's the biggest takeaway? I mean, I can't see any of these comments in Facebook because I'm lame and I cannot use Facebook, but I can see myself talking. So if anyone on Instagram, so let me know so we're on number 6. We finished 6. So are any of these standing out for you? I want to hear if you guys have any feedback. Okay. All right. Number 7. So include your patients in both. So we talked about the future vision of the practice, right? So include them in both the growth vision of the practice, but also the problem solving. Okay. So people love being the know-it-all or the one that's like got the ideas, and they're probably good ideas too. If they're your patient and they're coming to you, you kind of want to know. But if there is an issue that they have, ask them, do you have a better solution? How would you recommend we handle this next time? What process could we put in place that could better, facilitate XYZ experience for them, and then obviously for other patients who are coming in. Okay, so include them in problem solving. And then usually they'll be like, well, I guess you could have done it that way, or I could have come, a little earlier so that I was prepared, and usually like when you're coming to them from the perspective of being a resource for them and being a team member and a partner with them through the process rather than being defensive, you're going to have a better likelihood of them, kind of like softening up a little bit about the problem. Problems are going to happen 100%. If you're not having problems, you're probably not doing anything. You're probably not going all in, right? So like I tell my team, I mean, and if any of my team members are on, you could give them a thumbs up, but they're like, well, I don't want to do it because I might not do it right. No, just do it. And then we'll figure out how to do it right next time, but we got to try it, All right. Number 8. Okay. Love this. So have a surprise menu. And so if any of you guys been through, my sister's a GM for In-N-Out. And I don't know if anyone who's on here doesn't have In-N-Out. I'm so sorry. And I feel like I'm always talking about In-N-Out, but it's just too yummy. So they have like a secret menu. And I didn't really even know about this until I was talking to her because I was doing keto, and I'm like, well, I can't have In-N-Out. And she's like, oh yeah, get the Flying Dutchman. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Like the Flying Dutchman. Anyone else heard of this? This is craziness. So like they literally have a secret menu of services, but like, they're $3. Like it's not like, oh, I have to, fly in from Dubai on my private, jet to like be able to afford this menu. It's just kind of like a little something like, oh, hey, by the way, hint, hint. So have a little something that is only available to them if they know about it, and they would only know about it if they're like a super special client, right? So it might be just a certain offer, a certain way an offer is presented. Like maybe you have like the special little nibbles in the back, or you have, like the better champagne or something. Like just even if it's something like that, something about your practice that is going to surprise and delight them, and that they're going to feel special because they know about it. So it could be something within a bundled procedure, a bundled offer that you have that has a special name, and it's like, hey, you know, you have to know so and so to get this, or, you know, be a client at this X, you know, certain level or whatever. Oh my gosh, I think I'm seeing the chat now. Oh no, that's not it. Okay. Bummer. All right, number 9, offer priority scheduling for patients who are of that certain level with you. Now, this may not be a financial level. Maybe it's not, you know, some practices look at, you're in our, you know, $10,000 club or whatever. Like if you spend 10 grand a year or a quarter, then you get, you know, I've had one client who actually did like dinners for, you know, his like high, like that specific clientele where there's like 20 of them who are like the best customers, like VIP customers. And he took them out to like just a really beautiful, elegant dinner at, you know, a fine steakhouse, and got nice wine, and these women met each other, and it was just like an amazing event, you know? So that's something that's beautiful. But, you know, having something that, giving them like a little something special, like having priority scheduling, would be that they would know if they are of a certain category that within 48 hours they can always get in, or something like that. That is just another way that if, you know, they're a VIP, they could get some better, more convenient, significant access to you. Okay. And then finally, number 10, this is something that we do in complexity and with precision in our academy, which is annual treatment plans that align naturally with a VIP loyalty program. And so when sometimes I see practices who put like a loyalty program in place, and it's just kind of like anybody can sign up. And what makes them ineffective is that they're not really, it's incumbent upon the patient to take the initiative to go and spend that money each month, right? Whereas if you put them on a treatment plan for the year, then they know what they're coming in for every single month, every single quarter, every, you know, at 6 months, we're going to do we're going to start with a chemical peel, and then an IPL, and then a CO2, and then we're going to do your big like face tight, and then, you know, in between you're getting these facials, and then here's your skincare regimen. And oh, by the way, this part's, you know, how we're going to treat your texture. This is how we're going to treat your, you know, skin glow or your pigment or whatever. So like you're having really that plan for them so they know what's next through the treatment process. But then that loyalty program is really aligned synergistically with that, so that their benefits of their program are benefiting them, are working in their favor for them to stay in compliance with their plan and be using their products, et cetera, et cetera. So, all right, I'll do a quick recap of these 10. And you guys, this is not like a sit back, like, woo, Kaeli's talking, I get to just like hang out, you know. No, take advantage of the opportunity to go back and really do an audit in your practice of these 10 things and see how you're doing. And if you have other great ideas too that I didn't think of today or I didn't cover today, share them please, and message me, or please, if you're on Instagram, get on over into our tribe so we can have these two-way conversations, so you can be a part of this crew and this community. But I want to know how you guys are doing on these. So number 1, consistent communication. Number 2, show more behind the scenes. Number 3, extra special little things. Number 4, include patients in the future vision of the practice. Number 5, respond immediately, please. Number 6, make sure your customer knows the next step for them. Number 7, include them both in growth ideas and problem solving. Ask for their suggestions. Number 8, surprise menu. Number 9, priority scheduling. And number 10, annual treatment plans that align naturally with the VIP loyalty program. So I want to wrap up by inviting you, if you're not already registered for our boot camp next week, we're going to be having a 5-day intensive. This is just a slice of the pie that I'll be covering. Boot camp is called Reinvention. And really, this is a time to sit down and put pen to paper and build a strategic plan for yourself to position yourself, your brand, to stand out, to emerge as a market leader, to build a team of high performing profit warriors can help support you get to your vision, and put a blueprint together for a recession proof business plan to prevent any kind of fallout or any kind of economic downturn that is going to happen in the future. And my goal for you guys is to build lucrative, meaningful, deeply satisfying, freedom-based businesses. And for that, for some of you, that may mean making 6 and 7 figure leaps in your business. And for some of you, it may be putting the right people in place on your team to give you some autonomy and some freedom so you can do more of what you love in the practice instead of micromanaging every single little thing. Okay, so please join klcconsultants.com/bootcamp. If you're on Instagram, you can sign up at the link in my bio. If you're on Facebook, I will make sure that we get the link in the notes there. If you are already in the group, you're not automatically registered this time for this bootcamp. So make sure you register, get your workbook and all the things. I'm really excited. My team and I have put a lot of work into preparing for this. And the time is now. The time cannot be in the future. We need to prepare for the future today. So thank you, everybody on Instagram. So good to hang out on Instagram. I'm so glad that the tech worked today. And I will see you next Monday. Take care.